Hello, everybody. Welcome to Global Party Healing on All Levels. This is June solstice, summer, winter, wherever you are in the world. And today, in this particular segment, we're joined by Melior Sims in beautiful New Zealand.
Hi, it's winter solstice here.
Yes, isn't that the great thing? But it's still solstice, right?
Yes.
So we're all connected. And you probably remember when you were a kid that you had to put your tooth under the pillow because the tooth fairy would come. Well, you probably wondered what that tooth fairy looked like, and here she is, but she is the holistic tooth fairy.
That's right, I'm the holistic tooth fairy, and I help people heal and prevent tooth decay and gum disease with natural, intuitive, and self-help strategies.
Natural, intuitive, and self-help. Hey, that sounds perfect. Yeah. I'm looking so forward to hearing that. Now, before we get started, I did ask you for a song that inspired you. And what song did you pick?
I picked Salisbury Hill by Peter Gabriel.
And what is it about that song that inspires you?
It is the most uplifting song that I know, and it's about awakening and like a spiritual awakening and personal growth, and it's so happy and joyful. It's about coming home to yourself. I love it.
Okay, we're going to listen to a little bit of it. Here we go.
Had to listen, had no choice. I did not believe the information. I just had to trust imagination. My heart go, oh, 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 no. You said, grab your things, I'm gonna take you home.
Dun, dun, dun. You can listen to the whole song afterwards, because I'll put it in the link below. But it is going to come to take you home. So you're actually going to take us home to the truth about our teeth.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
So how did it all happen? How did you get on this journey to realize that there are way better ways to deal with our teeth than what most of the world is doing?
Well, unfortunately, it took me a really long time to get on this journey, and I had just terrible teeth for decades. I had my first root canal when I was 17, and then about 6 years ago, I was staring down the barrel of what would have been my 7th root canal, and finally, I just thought, there's got to be another way than just doing what dentists tell me, because what dentists tell me doesn't work. I had been brushing and flossing and trying to eat right and going to the dentist every 6 months for 30 plus years, and still I was just losing my teeth. And so I went to Dr. Google, and I found a book called Cure Tooth Decay.
Are we talking about Dr. Google?
Google, yeah. I looked online, and I found this book called Cure Tooth Decay. And it made sense to me, and so I started straight away changing the way that I was eating to support my teeth health. And by the time the book arrived, I was already well into the plan, just based on what I could see online. And within 2 weeks of starting, I had turned things around enough that when I went back for my root canal appointment, the dentist said, well, you don't need that root canal anymore.
Wow.
And I've never had that root canal. And in fact, I haven't had any fillings or any dental work since then, which is a record for me, 6 years with no dental work. Yeah.
That is phenomenal. Now, it's nothing in the drinking water in New Zealand. No.
Well, it's not actually that much to do with drinking water. So I started with this Cure Tooth Decay book and changing the diet. And then over the years since then, I've kept researching and exploring and experimenting on myself and on anyone that would let me boss them around. And I've learned that there's a lot more to holistic oral health than just diet, though diet is really central. And that everyone's got a different set of influences on what's making their teeth be unhealthy if they've got unhealthy teeth. And so we need to have a kind of flexible approach. We need to pay attention to what our teeth and our bodies are telling us that they need and respond appropriately. And so that's what I do in my coaching practice is figure out what's the particular set of strategies that each individual needs, because it's a little bit different for everybody.
Okay, so now it makes sense that it's different for everybody, because even in a family, everybody's teeth are different. Like I remember my older brother, he was the orthodontist, and at one point I wanted to be an orthodontist because he'd kissing goldfish in his waiting room. And I knew my parents would I could hear them complain about how much money they were spending on the teeth. Right? And I was like, oh, that's a good one. and then I remember them saying that he ate too many raisins. And that was what they were saying. It was the raisins, and they were sitting in his teeth at school, and he wasn't brushing. And I was always brushing. Right, my younger brother and I, we were always brushing, and after every meal, we never had a cavity. Mm-hmm. He was always there, and it wasn't until I got to high school where I decided, no, I don't really want to put my fingers in people's mouths. I'll find another way. but so it's very much, I can see just from my family experience, we ate the same food. You know, he brushed his teeth too, but for some reason his teeth were totally different than our teeth. So how do you when we go to a dentist, we're all used to just opening our mouth and saying here, and they go, here's your bite, here's it. So is each tooth representative of something, or are you really using the mouth as the sort of the window to the whole body?
Well, both, all of the above. So there's just so many layers to this. So yes, our teeth, each individual tooth is sitting on a different meridian. So different teeth are connected to different parts of the body. So if you've got a problem, a kind of chronic problem in one particular tooth, it's very likely that somewhere else on that meridian in your body, there'll be issues as well. And so anything you do that tooth is going to affect those other body parts that are connected, and anything that goes on with the other body parts is going to affect that tooth. So there's that level. Then there's that.
Okay, hold on just a sec before you go to the next level. Tell people what a meridian is in case they don't know, right?
So a meridian is like a flow of energy in the body. So yeah, it's sort of almost like an electrical impulse, but not even that tangible.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's that part, the teeth all connect to every part of the body, the meridians, yes.
Yeah. And then different teeth also are associated with different kind of emotional or social patterns of behavior and feelings and responses to the outside world or to inner impulses. So different teeth will represent certain kind of emotional blocks or challenges that we face in life too. So they tell us about our emotions, or our emotions can tell us about our teeth. Then there's the fact that our teeth are they're the nearest thing to our bones that we can see. So most of our bones, or all of our bones, are underneath our skin. Right. But our teeth are very similar to our bones, and they're not underneath our skin. All we have to do is open up our mouth and see them. So what's going on in our teeth tells us a lot about what's going on in our skeleton and the rest of our body.
Huh.
Yeah.
Now, I find that very interesting, because so you can, like, what I kind of go is, so many people think of their skeleton, and nowadays there's such a conversation, about osteoporosis as you get older. So can you then look at someone's teeth and say you have at the moment, the path you're going down could lead you in that direction?
Yeah.
That is cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So particularly actually in the gum, the bone, the jawbone, if you're getting bone loss, that's a real sign that you're vulnerable to osteoporosis, that there's likely to be osteoporosis happening elsewhere in the body, but it's not so noticeable, but the jawbone is going to show you. Yeah. And weakness in
Fabulous.
the teeth indicates weakness in the bones, often. Yeah.
So, like, you know, if you're going to a naturopath, for instance, right? You go and you fill out your whole little case history. Is that basically like if I was to come to you first off, are we going to just have a conversation, or do you have like a form to fill out for me to say, oh, this was my, you know, my third root canal, this is what happened, or do I have to send you a picture of my teeth? No.
I usually get people to fill in a little bit of a form. I'm not getting a huge amount of history before people come, but I like to have the
Right.
picture. And if people want to send me their teeth, that can be helpful. But I'm not a dentist. I'm not trained in dentistry or in health. So
Right.
I'm self-taught. I'm a lay person, and so the way that I work is actually quite intuitive.
Mm-hmm.
And I draw on all my research and what I've learned, but I kind of apply that in a very intuitive way in my connections with people in my conversations.
Well, you're kind of like Dr. Google, right? We go to Google to get these answers, and really Google, just from my perspective, is just a physical representation of how easy it is for there to be ask and receive. So you are aware on an intuitive, you know, interconnected internet way, on the spiritual side, or the, you know, the cosmic side, which people need to understand is the real energy of the world, right? And
Yes.
hence you're picking up on things that we do know that they start here energetically before they show up physically.
Mm-hmm.
Correct?
Yeah, very often.
So it's like looking at the teeth and having an idea of what could happen. It's like being able to understand what the patterns are from the past.
Yes.
Right? So what was the big thing for you? Yes, you didn't get the 7th root canal, but what would you like to share about what did you uncover? Why were you having so many? Why'd you have 6?
Yeah, so for me, I had a real lifelong pattern of instability and rootlessness, and each one of those root canals was associated with a period of not having a home. Whether I was traveling, or I was homeless, or I was really unstable in my foundations, and every time that happened, I would basically lose a tooth, you know, not physically lose it out of my mouth, but it would die. And it's that rootedness in place that I lacked, that my teeth needed. So about 6 years ago, around the same time, I finally made a commitment to staying in one house, staying in one job, and putting down my roots, and like figuring out the emotional challenges that for me came with being stable. Yeah, not running away from uncomfortable feelings, essentially. Yeah.
Right. Well, that makes, I mean, it makes logical sense when you say it that way, right? And I mean, did you like plants before? Because I'm noticing there's some in the background because they have roots. Or have you learned to like plants since you started laying, you know, that foundation?
I always liked plants, but I never had house plants, and I was never anywhere long enough to make a garden. But I moved to this house, and I made a garden, and I started collecting houseplants. So yeah, you're right. I hadn't made that connection, but you're quite right. That's been part of it too.
Yeah. Well, I spent years doing feng shui too. So the house is about your consciousness. So I usually find that people have, in a lot of cases, what they need. So it's just moving it around. So what is the biggest sort of aha you've had as you've started working with people?
The biggest aha I've had was it's hard to talk about because it's been such a break from the kind of person I was before.
Mm-hmm.
But I was a pretty skeptical about things like energy and and you know, past lives and things like that. But doing this work has thrown me right in the deep end, and particularly in relation to working with the teeth of very young children. Mm-hmm. I've had to step up and allow myself to be a vessel for interpreting teeth karma from ancestors in past lives, because my belief or my understanding is that particularly with the very young children with very bad teeth, when there's no physical reason for it, it's inherited either through the genetic line or in some energetic way from the past, embodied in their teeth. That blew my mind, and it's been quite a challenge to incorporate that into my worldview and take that on into my practice. But
that to me, that's the type of stuff I love. Okay, but I'm like way there. So let's just, because for those that are like, what? let's go back. Let's go back and tell them, what would you have said to you? Okay, like you're listening to you 6 years ago. What would you have said when you just spoke about karma and kids, and what would your reaction been back then, 6-7 years ago?
I would have been polite, and I would have been rolling my eyes. And I would have left the room and go.
But that's part of the journey, isn't it? As we start to explore things that we're led to, and everybody here at the Global Party has some awakening, some story that they're led to because this is their point and their perspective to share, is you start to discover more and more and more. Like it's like never ending, right? Like you just keep peeling these layers as you see people.
Yeah. That's right.
And so with a child, right? Because you think, so many people think a child is just comes into life and there's nothing that comes with them.
No. But children are born with teeth buds. So when we're born, we have the buds, like tiny little seeds in our gums of our baby teeth, our adult teeth, including our wisdom teeth. So the teeth that we're going to acquire that will grow over the next 20 years are already in our gums. And those teeth, the DNA of those teeth, the cells of those teeth hold so much information and direction for how those teeth will respond to the environmental circumstances that baby grows up with. So what happened was, when I started looking at children's teeth, and this wasn't an area that I particularly was drawn to working. My daughter's grown up now, I don't have a lot of little kids in my life, but researching online, you can't help but see that there are thousands and thousands of parents around the world who are terrified and panicked because their baby's teeth are coming in rotten. They're emerging from the gums and starting to decay straight away. Now, these are children who are conceived and gestated and born and breastfed and weaned on impeccable teeth nourishing diets, the kind of diets I recommend to adults for healing our teeth. Okay. So there's no dietary reason why these babies' teeth should be so bad. And I just couldn't make sense of it for a long time. And it was only by doing the spiritual work that this led me to that it could make sense, and I got this understanding that it's not their own trauma, it's not this life's experience causing these problems in the teeth for these very young children.
Well, let me ask you this. So, because the first teeth that come through, right, the babies all lose. So is it possible that these children are, in a sense, they're knowingly releasing past shit, for lack of, right? So it's coming out in their teeth, and it's like a physical representation for everyone to see, right? This is the crap, and it's going to come, and it's going to fall out, and my teeth, the next set of teeth can come in good. Is that a possibility?
It's it seems to be, and I haven't had enough time to kind of test this with the children that I'm working with, but it seems like if we can support these young children to heal on an emotional as well as physical level with these rotten baby teeth, then that the adult teeth should be able to come in healthy. Yeah.
Okay, we can talk about some of this afterwards, because I've got some other ideas that I just think people are just going to think are just way too out there at this moment.
This is out there enough.
Okay. Let's just talk about it. If everything's all energy. Right? See, because I feel like the kids nowadays are super, super sensitive. We might think we're sensitive to receiving, right? People want to call it channeling or however you want to call it, but we're receiving this information, right? And I believe that the younger generation is so super sensitive. It's like why they can multitask, right? They just, or messages come in, ding, 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 ding. And that's how it is, that they, in a sense, are already aware that they're also needing to release. So there's like this huge clearing going on the planet from my perspective. It's just, we're going from caterpillar to butterfly, and in the process, the caterpillar is getting eaten up, but it sure looks like in some cases that things are getting worse. Mm-hmm. Right? So the teeth are coming out rotten. People think, oh, but it's just like, that's good, because that's all the, that's all the stuff getting out, right? Because usually, like a detox. So many, I raise my kids all holistically. They're 23 and 18. So they, I don't think, Faith's never had a cavity. I think Destiny might have had one when she was like really little. But other than that, they've, barely gone to the dentist, but I don't do anything traditional. Right? So I just think you're onto this like gold mine of transformation for families.
Yeah.
So people all around the world can contact you, right?
Yes.
And what's the best way to do that?
So my website is holistictoothfairy.com,
mm-hmm.
or you can find me on Facebook, Holistic Tooth Fairy. All the social medias, yeah. So, and then so I have lots of information on my website, blog posts and so on about the ways that I work. So as well as these metaphysical healing approaches that you and I have been talking about, and the nutritional approach that really is a fundamental underlying issue, also work on relaxing the jaw. It's really fundamental to healing teeth, and of course oral hygiene, and just optimizing that beyond kind of the basic brushing that we're taught.
So what would be the 3 foods that you would say that people need to change in their diet or add to their diet for a better diet, if it was just, 3 shifts they need to do?
Okay. So this will come as a huge shock to everyone watching, I'm sure.
More sugar? We get to eat more sugar.
No, you should eat fresh, living, whole, real food, organic if possible.
Fresh, living. So like sprouts.
Well, as close to being alive. So if you're eating plant food that hasn't been stored for a long time, that it's in season.
Mm-hmm.
If you're eating animal foods, that it's as fresh as possible and it's had a good life and a good death. And that we need to, just step away from all those processed food. All the white powders basically aren't good. So the flours and any kind of grains, the sugar, of course, and protein powders are the bane of my life. They're just so bad for your teeth. Yeah.
Protein.
All those shakes that people drink, they're so bad for your teeth.
Okay, do tell me. I drink them all the time.
So if your teeth are vulnerable, that would be like a really good thing to stop and see if your teeth feel better. Like if your teeth are fine, then you're resilient. Go ahead, do what you like. Yeah. But if your teeth aren't healthy and you're using a lot of protein powders, mm-hmm. that would be a thing to take away and see if you can notice a difference and improvement.
Yeah. So no, I'll go back. So I got 2 issues there. If I think about it now, I'm like, I didn't think I had any issues because I know I had to do it. But I do remember when I think I must have been 2.5.
Mhm.
And I fell on these cement steps. And so is it this tooth? I think it's this tooth. So that baby tooth got, it sort of jumped up to my other tooth. Anyways, the adult tooth had half the enamel off it when it came in.
Okay.
And so that has a cap. See, I'd totally forgotten all about that. See, now you bring me. So now I'm like an eye tooth. Okay, so there. Now, what does that tell you?
So a lateral incisor. Let me just look at my chart.
Because it was little, and then so I remember because it was like I went through my whole life having this like half enameled.
Is it on the right or the left?
Dun, 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 dun. See, I'm like, which is it? Everybody's like, okay,
Is that your right or left hand that you're touching?
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to make. So it's my left side.
Okay. So the left side, the left lateral incisor relates to the mother archetype. So were there issues with your mother when you were 2.5?
Well, yeah, she was always there. No. Did I already? I wonder at 2.5. Did I already decide that I didn't want to be like I didn't? She had no power.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. So opposition to mother, like struggles with the mother power dynamics and things like that.
No,
have been playing out with that too. Yeah.
That'd be it, because I did, and it's funny because I just finished doing a whole big clearing the other day about this whole powerlessness issue on a bigger. I felt like I tapped into the whole world's powerlessness. But so I made that connection. So here I go. I was a kid because my mom and I were fabulously, we got along, right? But I always had this mindset that she had no power, and that was my archetype of a mom. When you become a mom. And so when I stepped into being a mom, I sort of stepped into that world too of thinking, career woman disappeared and mom changed and had to be, totally different. And I had to, sort of unwind all those things. So, see everybody, look how good this works. And then the other, see, now when you talk about jaw, I have always had a underbite.
Yeah.
And so I know people are saying when I was at university, my friends were going in dentistry. They're like, it's okay. We'll just like crack your jaw open and shove. And I was like, why would we do that? And I'm like, no. So
there's a lot we can do just with relaxing the jaw with massage and exercises to ease the alignment and let the body naturally align the jaw more where it wants to be once you release the tension. Yeah.
Well, I don't, I'll have to go. Feels pretty, but yes. Okay. So these are things that we're all learning how to do. It's like now everybody is going to go off after this show and they're going to be checking their teeth in here.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because
I don't think I've ever met anyone that didn't have tension in their jaw unless they've been working on releasing the tension. Like we all have more than we think.
So is that where you feel it's sensitive, or how? Like I know I've had that before in meridian points. How do you know you've got tension? It's just
when you've spent a week or so relaxing the jaw and then you notice the difference. It feels normal. We all have so much tension so constantly we have no idea what it feels like to have a relaxed jaw.
Yeah. Okay. So you're going to teach us how to relax the jaw. How does that like a 3-part, 6-part, 3-month series? How long does it take to learn how to relax the jaw?
It takes a few minutes, but you then have to do it every day.
Oh. Is it something you wanted to give us a peek at now?
Sure, I'll teach you a little jaw relaxation exercise. So this is a facial yoga exercise, and you just open your mouth really wide and say, wow.
Wow.
Everything's stretched. Some people will go pop and crack. Wow.
Wow.
You do that about 10 or 15 times in a row, every day for a week, and then tell me whether your jaw is relaxed.
You know what? I will. I'll do it. But I do so much talking, and I do a lot of those.
Yeah.
but I'm sure I can do more of that. I'm gonna see, because I can feel the extra stretch.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So
It's like yawning. It's like a really big yawn.
Yeah, it's kind of like you can stretch you can lean over and touch your toes, and then you can like really hold that space like in yoga, right? So it's like you can yawn, or you can like stretch it further. Okay, so 10 to 15 times
a day. Yeah.
A day.
And the best time of day to do it is just before you go to bed.
Before you go to bed. Okay, and then am I supposed to like notice, like if I'm doing it before I go to bed, am I supposed to be aware of my sleeping or my dreams or anything like that?
No, you don't have to do anything in particular. I think you will notice what you'll notice. Yeah.
Isn't that right? we notice what we notice. That is a tweetable.
Yeah.
Okay, so now what would be the last great bit of information? Because there's so much here. Just think of how many visits each of you have gone to the dentist in your lifetime. How much money you've spent, and how you're still feeling like only the dentist can help you fix something, but it's never really healed. So how would you like to guide this 5 billion people on the planet that all need help with their teeth?
Well, my mission for the 5 billion people on the planet is that I want you all to know that you have the ability to heal your own teeth and to prevent tooth decay and gum disease through your actions. And you don't have to give up your power to a dentist or cower in fear of the dentist not doing anything and panicking about your teeth crumbling away. It's so easy. It's not hard. It's not expensive. It's not particularly time consuming. It's just information that's not widely available, and I've made it my mission to try and bring that information into the mainstream.
And lucky for us that we get to be a part of this, because it wasn't like I could open up my phone directory and find Meliors here. But this is the great thing about Google, Dr. Google.
Yes.
And this internet is that we're all connected in this great, beautiful earth, and we can reach out and connect and get the best holistic tooth advice from the Holistic Tooth Fairy. Thank you so much for being with us.
You're so welcome. Thanks for letting me join your party.
We'll see you again.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.